Yes, the last sub-panel requires overcurrent protection. The overcurrent protection device, often abbreviated as OCPD, for the last sub-panel should be situated at the point where it receives power from the first sub-panel. This can be achieved in one of two primary ways. Firstly, by installing a breaker or fuse on the circuit that supplies power to the last sub-panel directly on the first sub-panel. Secondly, by installing a main breaker or main fuses at the service entrance of the last sub-panel itself. The reason for needing overcurrent protection stems from its fundamental role in safeguarding the last sub-panel and all of its downstream circuits from potentially hazardous overcurrent conditions such as short circuits or overloads. The overcurrent protection device ensures that the current flowing through the last sub-panel never exceeds its rated capacity. This is vitally important for preventing electrical fires and minimizing the risk of equipment damage. Now, let's address the question of feeding the last sub-panel directly from the lugs of the first sub-panel. This practice is strictly prohibited. Feeding the last sub-panel in this manner bypasses the essential overcurrent protection designed for that sub-panel. If a fault were to occur, the current would not be interrupted by a protective device, creating a significant safety hazard and potentially leading to extensive damage to equipment. To elaborate further, it is important to understand how electrical panels and sub-panels are designed to function within a safe and protected electrical system. A main distribution panel serves as the primary point of power distribution for a building or facility. From this main panel, power is distributed to various sub-panels which in turn feed specific circuits or areas. Each sub-panel is intended to have its own overcurrent protection to isolate faults and prevent cascading failures throughout the electrical system. Overcurrent protection devices like circuit breakers and fuses are designed to interrupt the flow of current when it exceeds a predetermined level. This level is based on the ampacity of the conductors and the ratings of the equipment they serve. When an overcurrent event occurs, such as a short circuit where there is a lower resistance path for current to flow or an overload where too much current is being drawn by the connected loads, the overcurrent protection device trips or blows, cutting off the power to the affected circuit. This action prevents the conductors from overheating and potentially causing a fire and also protects the equipment connected to the circuit from damage. When installing a sub-panel, it is essential to adhere to the National Electrical Code, NEC, and any other applicable local codes and regulations. These codes provide detailed requirements for the proper sizing of conductors, the selection of overcurrent protection devices, and the installation of electrical equipment. Failure to comply with these codes can result in unsafe installations that pose a significant risk of electrical shock, fire, and property damage. In the scenario described, where a sub-panel is fed from another sub-panel, it is crucial that the downstream sub-panel has its own overcurrent protection. This protection can be provided by a circuit breaker or fuse in the upstream sub-panel that feeds the downstream sub-panel, or by a main breaker or main fuses in the downstream sub-panel itself. The size of the overcurrent protection device should be based on the ampacity of the conductors feeding the downstream sub-panel and the ratings of the equipment it serves. It is important to consult the NEC and any applicable local codes to determine the appropriate size of the overcurrent protection device for the specific application. Bypassing the overcurrent protection for a sub-panel by feeding it directly from the lugs of another panel is a dangerous and prohibited practice. The lugs of an electrical panel are intended for connecting conductors that are protected by an overcurrent protection device. Connecting a sub-panel directly to the lugs bypasses this protection and leaves the sub-panel vulnerable to overcurrent conditions. In the event of a fault, the current would not be interrupted, and the conductors and equipment could be severely damaged or even cause a fire. Moreover, feeding a sub-panel directly from the lugs of another panel can overload the upstream panel and its overcurrent protection device. The upstream panel may not be sized to handle the additional load of the downstream sub-panel, and the overcurrent protection device may not trip in time to prevent damage. This situation can create a cascading failure where multiple circuits are affected, and the entire electrical system is compromised. To ensure the safety and reliability of an electrical system, it is essential to follow proper wiring practices and adhere to all applicable codes and regulations. This includes providing overcurrent protection for all subpanels and avoiding the dangerous practice of feeding subpanels directly from the lugs of another panel. Always consult with a qualified electrician when installing or modifying electrical systems to ensure that the work is done safely and correctly. Now let's delve deeper into the specific requirements and considerations for overcurrent protection in subpanels. Firstly, it's important to understand the concept of series-rated overcurrent protection. In a series-rated system, multiple overcurrent protection devices are connected in series, with each device having a different interrupting rating. The interrupting rating is the maximum amount of current that an overcurrent protection device can safely interrupt. When selecting overcurrent protection devices for a series-rated system, it is essential to ensure that the downstream devices have an interrupting rating that is equal to or greater than the available fault current at their location. The available fault current is the amount of current that would flow in the event of a short circuit. If the downstream devices have an interrupting rating that is less than the available fault current, they may fail to interrupt the current safely, leading to equipment damage or personal injury. Secondly, it's important to consider the coordination of overcurrent protection devices. Coordination refers to the selection and arrangement of overcurrent protection devices in a way that ensures that the device closest to the fault will trip first, minimizing the extent of the outage. When overcurrent protection devices are not properly coordinated, a fault may cause multiple devices to trip, resulting in a larger outage than necessary. To achieve proper coordination, it is necessary to consider the time current characteristics of the overcurrent protection devices. The time current characteristic is a graph that shows the amount of time it takes for an overcurrent protection device to trip at different levels of current. By comparing the time current characteristics of different overcurrent protection devices, it is possible to select devices that will coordinate properly. Thirdly, it's essential to protect the sub-panel feeder conductors. The feeder conductors are the conductors that supply power to the sub-panel from the main panel or another sub-panel. The size of the feeder conductors must be based on the load that the sub-panel is expected to serve. The overcurrent protection device for the feeder conductors must be sized to protect the conductors from overcurrent conditions. The NEC provides detailed requirements for the sizing of feeder conductors and overcurrent protection devices. Table 310.15b16 and related tables in the NEC will assist in this process. Fourthly, you should consider the type of loads served by the subpanel. The type of loads served by the subpanel can affect the selection of overcurrent protection devices. For example, if the subpanel serves motor loads, it may be necessary to use overcurrent protection devices with time delay characteristics to prevent nuisance tripping during motor starting. Time delay overcurrent protection devices allow a brief period of overcurrent to flow without tripping, which can accommodate the high inrush current that occurs when a motor starts. Fifthly, arc fault circuit interrupters, or RFCIs, and ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, are also important considerations for subpanel protection. RFCIs are designed to protect against arc faults, which are dangerous electrical faults that can cause fires. GFCIs are designed to protect against ground faults, which occur when current flows through an unintended path to ground. The NEC requires the use of RFCIs and GFCIs in certain locations, such as bedrooms and bathrooms. Sixthly, it is important to consider the environmental conditions in which the subpanel is located. The environmental conditions can affect the performance of overcurrent protection devices. For example, if the subpanel is located in a hot or humid environment, it may be necessary to use overcurrent protection devices that are rated for those conditions. Seventhly, it is essential to perform regular maintenance on subpanels and overcurrent protection devices. Regular maintenance can help to identify and correct potential problems before they cause a failure. Maintenance tasks may include inspecting the subpanel for damage, testing the overcurrent protection devices, and cleaning the subpanel. Eighthly, documentation is key. Accurate documentation of the electrical system, including the subpanels and overcurrent protection devices, is essential for troubleshooting and maintenance. The documentation should include the location of the subpanels, the size and type of overcurrent protection devices, and the loads served by the sub-panels. Ninthly, be careful of modifications. Any modifications to the electrical system should be performed by a qualified electrician and should be documented properly. Modifications can affect the performance of the overcurrent protection devices and can create safety hazards if they are not done correctly. Tenthly, when in doubt, seek expert help. If you are unsure about any aspect of sub-panel overcurrent protection, it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician. An electrician can assess the specific situation and provide guidance on the appropriate overcurrent protection devices and installation practices. In summary, providing overcurrent protection for sub-panels is essential for the safety and reliability of electrical systems. Overcurrent protection devices must be selected and installed properly to protect against overcurrent conditions and prevent electrical fires and equipment damage. The NEC and other applicable codes and regulations provide detailed requirements for sub-panel overcurrent protection. It is important to follow these requirements and to consult with a qualified electrician when installing or modifying electrical systems. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to err on the side of caution.